Now, live. Broadcasting live on StarWorldWideNetworks.com. It's time for The Real Deal. Join the ambassador and special guest hosts as they put together great guests and honest commentary on a range of issues. But one of their main topics will be preserving Native American tributes in sports team nicknames. Also avid fans of music and the arts, and they'll always make time for a great song or two. Now, it's time for The Real Deal. Here's your host, the Ambassador.
Welcome to The Real Deal, ladies and gentlemen. We're at the famous Star Worldwide Networks in the Camelback Towers in beautiful downtown Scottsdale, Arizona. And yes, we are definitely off the reservation tonight. With me tonight is my producer, Kyle Pratt, the son of the infamous Dave Pratt. Say hello, Kyle.
How's it going, Ambassador?
I'm doing real well. And with me is my co-host, Maggie. Say hello, Maggie.
Hi.
Good to see you. Maggie is my co-host from Hong Kong. She's also a guest artist at the Phoenix Symphony, and she's a jewelry designer. You can find her jewelry at jewelryscottsdale.com, or you can find her on Twitter, and her hashtag is Hong Kong Sugar. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we got some very special guests in the studio from Nashville. We have Josh Morningstar. Say hello, Josh.
Hello, everyone out there in Radio Land. How y'all doing?
Good. And we got Billy Don. Say hello, Billy Don.
How y'all doing? Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. And we got Candy Arnold here.
Hello, Chief. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. We wouldn't have it any other way. We're going to be talking to those folks here in a little bit, and they'll tell you about what they do in Nashville and all the neat things that they're going to be doing here in the Valley this week. We had a great week last weekend. The Washington Redskins were in town. And unfortunately, they lost. That was, I thought they were going to win it. Didn't you, Kyle?
It was a tight game. I was keeping an eye on it. I didn't watch the game, but I was keeping an eye on the score.
Yeah, and we got to spend some quality time with them while they were here. They got to meet Maggie and I. And Maggie, what'd you think about meeting the Washington Redskins?
Oh yeah, they are awesome. They love Ambassador. They appreciate what you're doing, and yeah, they love you, and they say you do a great job for all this team, all this Redskins, and they're looking forward to see you again. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, it was fun. When they walked in, they said, "Hey, Chief, you done it. You done it, Ambassador. You fought them, and you won." And I says, well, thank you. I said it was, it wasn't just me. It was a collected effort. And then one of the things that they said that was really interesting, some of these reporters asked Donald Trump what he thought about the name Washington Redskins. And his response was, he says, I own resorts in Virginia. He says, I own golf courses in Virginia. And he said, if they don't want to be called the Washington Redskins, they can move to Virginia and call themselves the Virginia Redskins.
Let's change the state.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. But really, what put the final nail in this Hal Britter's coffin was this poll by the Washington Post, about 6 months ago. Mm-hmm. The Washington Post, gentlemen, and Candy, everybody, all of our listeners, about 6 months ago, they sent reporters, a team of reporters, like 4 or 5 of them, to every state in the country, and they interviewed Native Americans. And they asked them what they thought about the name Washington Redskins and the other teams. And 90%, it shocked them, 90% of them said that they support the name Washington Redskins. And they thought for sure, they told the Redskins this when they got back, they thought for sure it was going to be the other way around, that the 90% of the Native Americans are going to say, we don't like that name. We got to change that name. It's ridiculous. It's bigotry. It's racist. And it's just total bullshit that these people pull. So when they got back, they did tell the Redskins something that they confided in me, and I'll share it with you guys. When they asked the Native Americans who their favorite football team is. And they all said the Washington Redskins. And they asked them who their favorite hockey team is. And they all said the Chicago Blackhawks. See? So, we're not through with this guy Halbritter, this fake Indian. He's up in upstate New York. Remember that name, Ray Halbritter, total idiot. He's the one that started this. And we're going to be the ones that finish it with him. And but he's got a new cause, Candy. He's got a new cause now because he can't get the Redskins to change their name. He can't get the Cleveland Indians to change. He can't get any of them to change. They tell him all to go to hell. So his new cause is Fake Indian Lives Matter. Yeah, that's his new cause because he's a fake Indian. See, so him, Halbritter, Elizabeth Warren, Susan Harjo. We call them the Big Three, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be the biggest movement in the world. Kyle, and you heard it here on The Real Deal.
We got to start some T-shirts.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm going to sell those T-shirts at the United Nations. I'm going to have his picture on them, or Trump Towers.
Yeah, get some sold.
And I actually had a caller call me after he heard this last week, and he says, no, fake Indian lives matter. He said it should be fake Indian lies, Lies, matter, because these are all lies that this guy spreads. I want to thank our sponsor, Graves Propane, with offices in northern Arizona. Family-owned business, John and Susan Graves. Please buy your propane from Graves. They've been serving Native Americans for a long time. They're out of Flagstaff. Really good friends of mine and solid people. Don't forget my company, Humate International, HUMATE.com. And I do an organic minerals for organic agriculture, and I ship them worldwide. Our other sponsor, Swisher Air Conditioning, they donate a unit to a low-income Native American family in Arizona every month. This is about a $10,000 deal. So if you know anybody, contact The Real Deal. Don't forget to download the new app, right, Kyle?
Yep, and your listeners can find you on iTunes as well.
Yeah, and all the shows are archived, so like us on Facebook, and then you can go back and listen to tonight's show and our great guests here. Thanks to our listeners all over the country, Native Americans and Americans coast to coast. I want to thank also our listeners down at Channel 3 and the other local channels here in Phoenix that listen to our show, American Indian Center of the Great Plains in Kansas City, Missouri, Johnny Leonard, which I am a principal of. Now I want to introduce to you to my Che. Che means grandfather in Navajo. This gentleman is a living legend. Back in the day, he was one of the most powerful Indians in America. His name is Peter McDonald. He's a Navajo code talker, 4-time chief of the Navajo Nation. Peter, if you'd say something to our people, please.
Yate shas toy sezane setel kent neshike no kliniki o shidi Peter McDonald dashne aska hatzahon slobet ani bashin ado tsakad ne dashnal ashi dashche todich in eba setta shada halya kododi anini eba hanne no kodoy ambassador Dennis Yellowhorse nichi yalticho yolwol akota nini be edeba hanne the real deal wol yo jo koe hashine lan ne says yadal tlahoda ba ohlahob lahadal no die do kot eda ebni na hada kisigi kodo the real deal no yahal neki da nini jo edeba honne Ako ikena aslagi sto banda yolni to banda notra Graves Company will yov la shibe da no sandai da jo kodo kwishi without di ikena asla kodo kwichi na long kodo ni yati.
Thank you, Peter. Now I'm going to go to my business associate. He's based out of New York and also in Virginia. Mark Burr, him and I are associates with Jay Stryker. Mark speaks fluent Spanish. He's traveled all over the world, and he's going to say something to our listeners in Spanish because a lot of our listeners in northern Mexico, a lot of the tribes in southern Arizona, and particularly in California, they lost their language. So their language of choice is Spanish. So Mark's going to say something to our listeners in Spanish.
Claro que sí, don Dennis. Nuevamente, bienvenidos a nuestra audiencia de hispanoparlantes y a todos nuestros patrocinadores, Graves Propane de Flagstaff y Humate Internacional de Gallup, Nuevo México, y a todos los radio oyentes a través de la nación y del Real Deal y nuestro anfitrión, el embajador.
Thank you, Mark. Now I'm going to have my co-host here from Hong Kong. Maggie's going to say something to all our listeners in Asia and in China. Go ahead, Maggie.
Thank you. 其实这个节目是说美国印第安人的历史文化。Western Post 访问所有美国印第安人，他们都喜欢 Western Laskin King City Chief 这个名字，但是有的华人要改变这个名字。珍妮斯·王马先生为了保护这个名字，他本人做出了好大的贡献和支持。我们希望得到每一位的参与和支持。珍妮斯·王马先生还有出售有机土壤叫优美。如果有需要打我美国电话6025151073。上个礼拜我们还和那个 Laskin 的 CEO 一起见面，他们都好喜欢Chief， 所以呢非常好。Thanks so much, Chief, for having me on Real Deal. That's such my honor.
Thank you, Maggie. What do you think about that? She's pretty good, huh? Okay, Star Worldwide Networks, ladies and gentlemen, is the largest, fastest internet radio station in the country, fastest growing, 200 shows, 6 million listeners. Kyle, tell them who's number one.
The Real Deal.
That's right. Yes. That's why we're number one. And we want to thank all the fans of all the teams that support our show, that listen to our show, that tell everybody about our show. The Kansas City Chiefs, the Washington Redskins, Golden State Warriors, Atlanta Braves, Cleveland Indians, Chicago Blackhawks for listening and honoring Native Americans. And as I said to you many times, that this phony civil rights scam that Hal Britter and these losers have been fronting for is just social and cultural genocide to Native Americans. So it's a slippery slope. When you start down that slippery slope, pretty soon in 100 years, there won't be Native Americans. They'll just be Americans. So if you like the culture, protect the culture, support the culture, and don't let anybody tell you that these names are bad and they're causing mental illness, because that's just a total bunch of bullshit. Okay, now we're going to I'd like to have our guests play a song. Can you guys do that? We always cut to a song here, but since you're here with your guitars and you're ready to go, why don't you play us a song, get close to the mic, and just wail away.
All right. This song I wrote up at Billy the Kid's grave about 1988, Chief. It's called Dead or Alive. As the old man talked to me, put goosebumps on me, said that Fort Sumner was the place the kid died. Said I'm the last one and I know that I have to pass on what I know about the kid when he's alive. He was a young, jealous cowboy. He met a wild, pretty woman out in West Texas on one of his rides. She knew that he was wanted 'cause she'd seen the posters on him. Still she posted up beside him and they rode off in the night. They called him an outlaw, but the only thing that I saw was him shoot a ranger, and I think the fault was hers. Heard that she was with him at the Lincoln County killings, but I heard so many stories that my mind is kind of blurred. Dead or alive, hiding by day, ride by night. Dead or alive, ain't too many eyes that wouldn't sell you for the dollar when you want it. Dead or alive. Last time that they stopped by, I asked Billy why. His words never told me, heard it from her eyes. Knew there was no place in hell those blood hunters couldn't smell. What could I tell the kid I raised, wanted, dead or alive? They saddled up and left for New Mexico that night. Well, the last time that I seen him when they faded out of sight. Heard that she deceived her, I always thought she might. She had her death angels welcome and a great place for the kid to hide. Dead or alive, hiding by day, right by night. Dead or alive, ain't too many eyes that wouldn't sell you for the dollar when you want it. Dead or alive.
That was good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That was really good.
Sorry I hit the mic.
No, that's okay.
That's great.
I seen on your guitar here you got Jack Daniels on there.
Chief, you got to drink a lot of Jack to get one of these.
I bet.
I don't just give them to everybody.
A good buddy of mine owns Maker's Mark.
All right.
Yeah, he's going to be coming on the show here pretty soon.
Now, I've been to their distillery in, I think, Bardstown, Kentucky.
Yeah, Laredo.
Oh.
Yeah, right there by Bardstown.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You know, we have some mutual friends. We were talking before the show, May Axton, Hoyt Axton, and they were songwriters.
They were great songwriters.
Yep.
I mean, you know, Hoyt wrote so many of the big classics, and of course, Mama May wrote Heartbreak Hotel.
Yeah, Heartbreak Hotel. Yeah, she took her and Hoyt. They'd stay at my home when they come to Paradise Valley, and they took us a couple times to the Country Music Awards out in California. That was a real treat. I mean, we were right down front. We were hanging out with Hank Jr. and Charlie Pride and Tammy Wynette. And
well, you know, one of Hoyt's biggest hits he wrote was Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog.
Right, for Three Dog Night.
Yeah. And so his record company he started was Jeremiah Records.
Really?
He signed me and Dennis Weaver McLeod.
Right.
And Hoyt. We were the three artists on that label. And the label never made it, but it was a great year or so that I got to be associated with May and Hoyt Axton. It was all great memories.
Right. Yeah. There's a band here in Phoenix called Elvis Before Noon. You've heard them, haven't you, Candy? Yeah, and they know I knew Waylon, so they always dedicate a song to me during the show that's Waylon, and then I knew Hoyt, and then they play that song that he wrote, Never Been to Spain.
That was probably my favorite.
Yeah,
song.
I love that song. We played it here on the show several times. I got to read a letter here that Billy Don gave me here before we come on the show. It says, "To whom it may concern, Billy Don Burns is an old songwriter buddy of mine. He picked up bad habits and put him where he is today, and he needs help. Keep him in the rehab till he's clean, then give him another chance. He's not a bad guy. He just made some bad choices. Thanks, Willie Nelson." That's pretty good.
I call him the Goodwill.
Yeah. Yeah, when you got friends like that, man, that's pretty good. And that come out of his office in Connecticut because a friend of mine, Wendy Demeen, has been over there to Danbury, Connecticut to see him. So you guys are going to be playing this week over at Roosters.
Yes, sir. We're there on, when is it, Josh? You know the dates.
We're at Roosters in Mesa tomorrow evening. Show starts at 7 p.m.
Right.
And then on Saturday afternoon, we will be at the River Bottom Bar and Grill in Florence.
Right.
That's an afternoon show. That's 2 to 6. So a little bit of day drinking, have some fun that way.
All right.
And then from there, we're off to Texas and Oklahoma. Got dates in Fort Worth, Fairland, Oklahoma, and onward and upward from there.
Right. Okay. Well, good. I'm glad you guys could make it. Well, I want you to play another song here in a little bit. Candy, I want you to tell our listeners about how you and Willie Nelson and all of us and Jesse and everybody, how you got acquainted with them years and years ago?
Well, my late husband, Jerry Gropp, was one of the original Wailers.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a band here, some of you may remember, in the late 70s called Stumpwater Jack, local band. And they had a single on A rotation on KNIX, and Waylon and Jesse had come to town, and Waylon was working on the Leather and Lace album at Pantheon Studios here in Scottsdale, or Paradise Valley, actually. And Waylon heard the record on the radio, and he says, I know that voice. And the rest is history. I started sewing Waylon's shirts that had his Flying W, and I did a lot of custom stage wear for him and Jesse and others in the business, in the industry during that time frame. And Waylon hired Jerry, and away we went.
That's good. You know, I knew Waylon. I met him in Gallup, New Mexico, because that's where I grew up. And Waylon was working down here, and he was working some bars down here, JD's, right?
Right, and Jerry was with him, and Richie Albright, and Paul Foster.
So on the weekends, he would try to do a show up in Gallup, and the Navajos loved him. I mean, he would sell it out every time.
And he loved them.
Yeah, he did. And he'd go up there, and he says, man, I just got enough money to make it to Gallup. I know I'll hit a home run. And he did every time. And then he hit that song, that Only Daddy That'll Walk the Line. Yep. Then he was gone. He went to Nashville. But he always remembered the Navajos, because my wife was a judge at the New Mexico State Fair and Albuquerque, and they would have different entertainers every night during the rodeo, because this is a big-time state fair, bigger than Arizona. And they'd have Willie Nelson, or they'd have Tanya Tucker, and then Johnny Cash and Waylon. And so we'd go every night to listen to the singers, and then we'd hang out with them after backstage somewhere for a little while. And Waylon would always dedicate some songs to the Navajo people.
That's right. He had great respect for the Native Americans.
Yep. And Jessie told me that when I seen her a couple of years ago with Way Jennings.
Mm-hmm. When we were at Handlebar J. I remember that.
I sat with her, yep. She's a good friend, too. In fact, I think we got a Waylon song in the queue that I hadn't heard in a long time. Let's play it. Okay, we're back. That was Waylon Jennings. Are you ready for the country? And are you ready for me? Okay, now I want to talk a little bit to Josh Morningstar. Josh, you live in Nashville as well?
Actually, no. I live in Maryland, about an hour northwest of D.C.
What town?
Hagerstown.
I know where Hagerstown is.
Yes,
I used
sir.
to live in Cumberland.
Oh, well, then you know Hagerstown very well.
Yep.
Heck
yep,
yeah.
yep.
I drive through Cumberland all the time. It's a great little town.
Yeah. That's my family was in the coal mining business.
Oh, okay.
All over the country, and their corporate offices were in Cumberland. So how'd you get in the singing business?
Too stupid to do anything else.
That's good.
No, I've always sang for as long as I can remember. Pretty typical, church choir kind of background, and got older and decided that life's too short to live it unhappy.
Right. You wrote songs too?
It's a great song.
Yes, sir. I write songs as well. Travel around this beautiful country of ours, playing them for anyone that'll listen.
Well, why don't you play us one?
All right, I can do that. Can I be brutally blunt and honest with you?
Yeah.
I started writing this song while doing cocaine. It's about cocaine, and it's called Cocaine.
Oh. Okay.
He's a good boy, though. He's been clean about 3 or 4 years now.
Really? Good. Good
Thanks,
job.
sir. Spent my last dollar. Have you any spare change? For a man with a trembling hand who's trying to numb a little pain. Through my luck and all I love down a tiny little hole in my vein. Now it's just you and me, cocaine. Spent my last dollar, so I'm picking up cigarette butts and change. Hope is gone with all I own. I pawned everything but my name. I don't doubt if my mom would see me now, she wouldn't recognize the man I became. Hold me tight in your regret, cocaine. I've tried and tried 1,000 times to quit, but man, I can't. I could cry, but tears from sunken eyes don't really mean a goddamn thing. So I'll revel in your nightmare for as long as it remains. Wake me up when it's over, cocaine. Spent my last dollar, swearing this time would be the time I'd change. But here I am, once again, with a pipe made from a can and a flame. Praying my dilated eyes would be enough to somehow hide my shame. I can taste your sweet breath, cocaine. The sweet, sweet kiss of death, cocaine.
I like that.
Thank you, sir.
I'm so proud to be here in the presence of these two talented men. I am so proud of everything that they are doing and that they've done, and so thankful and grateful to be able to call you my friends.
Yep.
Back at you. Thank you
Same
very
here.
much.
So you've been straight now for about 4 years.
Actually, just 5.
Really?
October 17th.
Was it tough to kick the habit?
Well, I was a dumpster. I'd take anything you put in front of me, really, for the most part. Yeah, I guess that's the short short answers. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're straight and sober. Stay that way, because that stuff will kill you, man.
Cheers.
It's negative energy, and it just does nothing but screw you up.
Yes, sir.
And so proud.
Yeah, I'm proud of you too, man. Glad to have you on the show.
Well, I appreciate you, sir. Thank you.
Yep, anytime.
I'm very proud, very honored to be sitting here with you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I enjoy that, and enjoy my friend here, Candy.
She's all right, ain't she?
She's my buddy. Yeah, I've known Candy for a long time, and she's a good gal. So you're going to play in Texas after here. Where in Texas?
We're in Fort Worth on Tuesday evening at the Live Oak Theater.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow. Now, can our listeners go on iTunes and listen to you guys, or on YouTube, or?
Yes, sir.
Okay, how did they do that, Billy Don?
Just put in Billy Don Burns and mine come up, put in Josh's, and you put in our names together, somebody got us in a club together probably somewhere, don't they?
Yeah, they're kicking off their Nashville Rebel Tour, and they have merchandise. You can look them up on Facebook. The website, Out of the Box Entertainment, has direct connections to them and the merchandise.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay, good.
Chief, you was talking about Waylon. I met Waylon in 71, got to be friends with him about 72. I was writing for Harlan Howard, and he was around there a lot. And anyway, I wrote a song called When Waylon Came to Nashville, and I did it on a show I was doing with Shooter and Jesse and Josh. We did a show about a month or 2 months ago, and Jesse told me she liked it. But anyway, Buddy Jennings, one of Waylon's children by his first wife, his wife called me the other day and said that they were interested in using it in the new Waylon documentary. If y'all got time, I'll play it for you.
Yeah, play it. Let's hear it.
When Waylon Came to Nashville. You know that, Josh?
Yes, sir.
They called him an outlaw. Watasha was his name. He was a Texas guitar picker. He led an outlaw gang. Some folks down in Nashville said he'd never really amount to anything. He worked the night shift and they run the roads all day, looking for a party or any place to play. They didn't have to chase no women, and it was all that they could do to get away. He flew higher than the eagle they were riding on. He took a band of outlaws across the land to sing the world his songs. Running up and down the highway, he was breaking all the rules. When Waylon came to Nashville, he made outlaw music cool. Mac told us Waylon told him his name is soaring eagle in the sky. And every time he'd flap his wings, we'd stand back and we'd watch the eagle fly. He always landed on his feet. He knew that Richie had the backbeat, and oh, way more he'd be singing up a storm. He flew higher than the eagle they were riding on. He took a band of outlaws across the land to sing the world his songs. Running up and down the highway, he was breaking all the rules. When Waylon came to Nashville, he made outlaw music cool. When Waylon came to Nashville, he made outlaw music cool.
That's really good. I like that.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Is that on one of the CDs you gave me?
No, sir, I don't have that on one yet, but
Well, Candy can get me one when you get it.
hopefully it'll be in this documentary. We're supposed to get together and discuss all that this week.
That's good. You sing it very well, and that is true. You know, when Waylon came to Nashville, he made country music cool. I was watching a clip on YouTube the other day where Waylon was on, like, the Tonight Show or something, and he was on with Neil Young. Neil Young was really young, and Farron Young, and Little Jimmy Dickens.
Thader.
Yeah, and so the guy that was running the show asked him, says, Waylon, he says, these guys here to the right of you, he says, they're legends. And he said, yep. And he says, when I first come to Nashville, they had a hard time accepting me. They did, you know, and he said that Farron Young gave him a nickname, Greasy. He said that was his nickname, Greasy, because I guess his hair was greasy or whatever. And then finally they accepted him, you know, because, I mean, they did make this outlaw music cool. Waylon and Willie and all them. And they changed the whole direction. They shook things up, but it was good. It was in a good way. And the other one I listen to, and I play him on this show, is Tom Petty. I really like Tom Petty's
Great
music.
writer.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, he has a radio show on that Sirium XM.
Serious.
Yeah, or Sirius, whatever it is. And because I subscribe to it and I listen to it. I got the Tom Petty show on all the time. Listen, it's amazing how many songs that guy wrote.
Oh, absolutely. Tom Petty's great. You know, John Carter, Johnny Cash's son, told me that him and his dad walked in Rick Rubin's house in L.A. that produced those last albums on Johnny.
Right.
And said Tom Petty was laying on the floor with headsets on listening to Johnny's album and ended up singing on it.
Really?
That's the only Tom Petty story I got, but he is great.
Did you ever hear the story? You know, Chris Christopherson was a good songwriter.
Great.
One of the best.
Yeah. And he wrote that song Sunday Morning Coming Down.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he wanted Johnny Cash to sing it. Because he wasn't a singer then, he was a songwriter. And the story goes that he supposedly, he didn't know how to get a hold of Johnny Cash, so he supposedly got a guy to fly him and land in the backyard of Johnny Cash's house in a helicopter.
Chris was a warrant officer, a helicopter pilot in Vietnam.
Was he?
He got him a Huey from somebody and flew it in Johnny's backyard. That's true.
Yeah, that is true.
Played him that song.
He was working flying helicopters on the Gulf Coast.
Was he?
He was also a janitor at either, I guess it was Columbia or CBS. And you know, he was a Rhodes Scholar. He was on assignment to teach at West Point. When he decided he was moving to Nashville to become a songwriter. Well, when that happened, his family disowned him completely. His mom wrote this letter disowning him that was delivered to him at CBS Studios, and June told Johnny about it. And he walked up to Chris and he said, "It's always nice to get a letter from home, isn't it?" And they became friends there. But Chris said he kept giving Johnny his songs, and Luther Perkins would tell him that Johnny was carrying his songs around in his wallet with him, but he never cut it. So there, the helicopter story.
Right.
Chris has always said that John cutting that song was the best thing for him. So if that's what John wants to tell, if that's the story John wants to tell, he'll go along with it.
Yeah. No, I'm sure it is. I mean, I love that song. And he gave it to him and said he wanted him to record it, and he did.
Well, one thing I know for sure from the old days and these days with these boys is there's never a dull moment. And they're so talented. And if you can give them a hook for a song, they'll write it.
Well, you know what? This show here is number one, and one thing we're real firm about here at the show, and that's being flexible. There's never a dull moment here, right, Kyle? You never know what to expect.
Well, Well, we'll be at Roosters tomorrow night having a good time. So if y'all want to come out and have a large time, come out to Roosters.
Okay, well, I'm going to play a song here that'll be just in tune for Roosters tomorrow night. Go ahead and tee it up.
Coming over tonight. Do you wanna drink? Hey, do you wanna party? Hey, honey, this is old Hank, ready to get the thing started. We cooked a pig in the ground, got some beer on ice, and all my rowdy friends are coming over tonight. My cowboy boots. Do you wanna drink? Hey, do you wanna party? Hey, this is old Hank, ready to get the music started. I cooked a pig in the ground, we got some beer on ice, and all my rowdy friends are coming over tonight.
Hey, a little Hank Williams Jr. there. Josh,
man, that's Bocephus. It is Bocephius best.
And you want to know something? You want to know something that really pisses me off? That was the song for Monday Night Football. Remember that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
That was the song for Monday Night Football.
All my rowdy friends are here on Monday night.
Yeah, and he would play it right at the beginning of Monday Night Football, and then he had said something that he didn't like Obama. And then the Obama people told the NFL to take him off. They don't want that song anymore. Isn't that a bunch of BS?
Thanks a lot, Obama.
Yeah, I mean, that's political correctness bullshit.
Amen, brother.
And,
Amen.
I hope Trump should call Roger Goodell and tell him to put the song back on. Josh, tell me, I understand you got a song about the day Merle Haggard died.
Yes, sir. Yep, I wrote it the day Merle Haggard died.
Really?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to hear it.
All right. That's okay. I will do my best for you. I'm not making any promises. It's a little tough for me to sing without warming my voice up, but I'm honored to be here, sir, and I will do my best for you.
That's all we can ask.
I got a phone call from my mama. She asked me if I'd heard the news. I told her that I hadn't. The band and I had practice all afternoon. She said it's probably gonna break you, and I know you're gonna hate what I say. It breaks my heart to tell you Merle Haggard died today. I got a phone call from my woman. She asked me if I'd heard news. I told her that I had, then I collapsed and prayed to God it wasn't true. I bought some flowers and some liquor. I kept the wine but threw the rose away. I'm hiding from my teardrops. Merle Haggard died today. Silver wings have faded out of sight. I think I'll just stay here and drink and pray. The bottle doesn't let me down tonight. And I'd bet all of my money angels hanging back home all the way. Never make it through December. Merle Haggard died today. I guess the good times are really over. Merle Haggard died today.
Good.
Something like that. I appreciate you.
Really good. You guys are good.
Would I bring you anything but the best?
No, I'm totally impressed. And it takes.
She threatened our life if we blew this.
He knows me.
No,
better
they're
than
good.
that.
No, yeah, they're good. I enjoy it. This is a great show, ladies and gentlemen. We got some two great songwriters, singers here, and I'd like to get you to Billy Don. Why don't you do one more for me, if you would?
Okay, what do you think, Josh? Give me a request. What should we do for that?
Where do you want me to start? Hold on. Can I say something about this gentleman right here?
Yeah.
Before we go any further, to people who know this guy, there's nothing you can say about him to describe just how special of a person this guy is. He wears his songs on his sleeve, I guess you could say, as opposed to your heart. He's written what he's lived his whole career, and to a guy like me that is just trying to make his way in the world, he's really important and really something special. And one of my most important relationships in my life is with this gentleman right here.
I can tell you guys get along great. Billy Don, tell our listeners some of the people you wrote songs for.
Willie Nelson, Johnny Paycheck, Sammy Kershaw, Connie Smith,
Mel Tillis, Cody Jinks.
A kid named Cody Jinks has got one of mine on a new album. He's number 3 on Billboard
right now.
album sales this week.
Wow.
A lot of young kids have started cutting my songs. I got in a little trouble, went to prison for 13 months, and got out like February. But I've had like 10 or 15 kids cut my songs since I got out.
When were you in the studio with Shooter?
Shooter Jennings did an album on me before I went to prison, and then when I got out, he released it. It's called Night in Room 8. That's the room that Graham Parsons died in up at Joshua Tree, California, and we went there and recorded it in the room where Graham died. If y'all would like, I'll play you that song.
Sure, play whatever you want.
It's called, and when Graham died in 1973, I never knew Graham, but I was playing Hank Williams at Opryland, which turned out to be a real important gig for me. I only did it one season, but Billie Jean and Audrey, I got to meet both of Hank's wives, and it was a good gig. But so when Graham died, I was playing Hank, and I wrote a song about it. And it was hot and dry that September night, 1973. He was 2 hours east of L.A., and Joshua Tree. And that's where Graham Parsons died. He's in some old motel room. Like some other greats before him, he checked out too soon. Back when Graham Parsons died, I was at Opryland. I was playing Hank. And before I can tell you more, I need a drink. I wish I could do it sober. No booze, no drugs, but I can't. Hey, back when Graham Parsons died, I was at Opryland. I was playing Hank. When Graham died, I was playing Hank. Radio never played him much. It wasn't right. And I know that cross was hard to bear when he laid down at night. They said he's drinking booze and shooting drugs, but as far as I could tell, he blasted into heaven like a bat out of hell. Yeah, back when Graham Parsons died, I was at Opryland. I was playing Hank. And before I can tell you more, I need a drink. I wish I could do it sober. No booze, no drugs, but I can't. Hey, back when Graham Parsons died, I was at Opryland. I was playing Hank. When Graham died, I was playing Hank.
Good, I like that. Now, when you say you were playing Hank, you were playing Hank Williams songs?
They had when Opryland, the Grand Ole Opry.
Right, I've been there.
They,
It was a theme park.
they had a country music show, and it had like 6 or 7 legends in it, like Hank Williams, Ernest Tubb, Patsy Cline, Tex Ritter, and we were in the cast that sang all these songs, but then it had the classic part of the show, and Dottie West's husband, Bill West, was our steel guitar player, and when his cue for me to come on stage, and they'd put me in a rhinestone suit and a hat, and he'd hit Cheating Hard on that steel guitar, and it was a great show to do for 1 year.
Yeah, about 4 or 5 years ago, I think I told you this, I was in Nashville on Veterans Day with the Navajo Code Talkers. Wow. And
that must be something to be around those guys.
Oh yeah, and there's not many of them left. We did 4 shows. You got to listen to them back in February. Kyle and I, and this is the one of the best shows. And it was with Peter McDonald.
I'll pull it up. Well, what do I do to pull that up?
I'll tell her,
okay.
And she'll get it for you. And go down the road and listen to it, because you'll really get an education on what they did with the Navajo language.
That's what I was thinking the whole time the guy was talking in Navajo a while ago. I kept thinking because you said
that was him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the show.
Yeah.
That guy that was talking, Peter McDonald. He's the one that we got him in here last February. Come down and stayed at my house because it was really cold up on the reservation up in northern Arizona, and he come and stayed here at my house. And I got him in here, and we did 4 back-to-back shows, and Kyle and I figured it out, and we taped them. And they're archived. We did 1 live one, I believe, and then the other 3 were taped, but they're all one after another. And it's Peter MacDonald, MacDonald. Okay. And when you're going down the road, you listen to those, and, you'll be very impressed. They're some of our best shows that we did here. But when we were down at Nashville, we were hosts at the Grand Ole Opry, the one downtown, the old one, Ryman, yeah. And we were we sat in Charlie Daniels' seats. Yeah, we sat in his seats, and when they introduced us to the audience, there was about a 15-minute standing ovation. Wow! They stopped. It stopped the whole Opry.
Rightfully so.
It was big. It was big. And we had escorts, police escorts. We had all the stuff. It was really cool. Okay. I want to. Who wants to do another song? I want to hear another song.
How
How about this? Billy Don's got a new record coming out on next Friday, December the 16th, on Rusty Knuckles Records, and the record's called Graveyard in Montgomery. If you don't mind, what if we do that one?
Yeah, do it.
Tell him the story and all that if you want to.
Oh, Josh, he knows all my songs. I forget them. I'm old, but this is a new album I got coming out called what's it called, Josh?
Graveyard in Montgomery.
Graveyard in Montgomery. That's right. Let's see. How's it? Tell me how it starts out, and then I got it. Okay, it's A minor. I'm sorry, Chief.
That's okay.
I'm old.
Hey.
Abraham Lincoln was president when I was born. I was on my way to Alabama. It was out on the coast. Meet some folks, play some gigs, play some honky tonks.
Nothing new, it's the way my
life has always been. Then it hit me hard that I was here to talk with him again. In Montgomery, in a graveyard, in a storm. This ain't the first time that I stood here at the graves of Hank and Audrey, not knowing what to say. When I head south on 65, I usually end up here. He OD'd back in 53, so why do I still care? In a graveyard, in Montgomery, in a storm. Rain and wind were held to pay, and thunder's deafening sound. Higher than the dark clouds, lightning crashing down. Pray to God if I get struck, my guitar won't be harmed. In a graveyard, in Montgomery, in a storm. Hank, why do you torture me like you do? I can't forgive the Opry, Hank, for what they did to you. Standing here at your monument with a needle in my arm. In a graveyard, in Montgomery, in a storm. In a graveyard, in Montgomery, in a storm.
That's really good. You know, Hank Williams, Josh, you'll like this since you're from Maryland. He died in the back seat of a Cadillac up in Oakland, Maryland. That's up west of Cumberland. Mm-hmm. It's right near the West Virginia border. And it was like a 53 Caddy, and he died in the back seat. And I think he was on his way to Wheeling, West Virginia or someplace to do a show.
Canton, Ohio.
Oh, was it Canton, Ohio? Yep, but he died because I can remember growing up in Maryland, and my family had coal mines up there near Oakland. And they said, yeah, this is the road where Hank Williams died. It was on this road here going from back to Ohio, but he died right there around Oakland.
He was supposed to be in Charleston, West Virginia on the 30th.
Mm-hmm.
Weather was bad. He chartered a plane from Knoxville, drove from Montgomery to Knoxville, chartered a plane from Knoxville to Charleston. Bad weather, had to turn around, so they flew back to Knoxville. Him and his driver then got back in the Cadillac and headed north for Ohio on New Year's Eve. And
yeah, so he had to go into Maryland, I guess.
Never made it to Canton,
yeah. Hey, we're going to close it up here in a few minutes, but I got one for you from my old buddy Waylon, and I think you'll like this one.
reason I made all them mistakes. I've always been crazy in the trouble that it's put me through. Been busted for things that I did and I didn't do. I can't say I'm proud of all of the things that I've done, but I can say I've never intentionally hurt anyone. I've always been different with 1 foot over the line, winding up somewhere 1 step ahead or behind. It ain't been so easy, but I guess I shouldn't complain. I've always been crazy, but it's kept me from going insane. Beautiful lady, are you sure that you understand the chance that you're taking, loving a free living man? Are you really sure you really want what you see? Be careful of something that's just what you want it to be. I've always been crazy, but it's kept me from going insane. Nobody knows if it's something to bliss or blame. Till now, I ain't found a rhyme or a reason to change. I've always been crazy, but it's kept me from going insane.
That was my buddy Waylon. Okay, we're at the end of the road. I want to thank everybody for listening. And remember what I say on all my shows about this Telecommunication Act of 1996. We have to repeal it. And what this says, everybody, is the big media. The big media controls the newspapers. They control the TV stations. They control the radio stations. And if we don't break them up, they're poisoning the minds and they're altering the opinions of the American people because it's fake news. It really is. It's fake news, and we got to get rid of it because they got too much control. Before this act, it was illegal for the media to own a newspaper, a radio station, and a television station in one market. They could own one, but they can't own them all. And see now this big corporate media, and they're all based out of New York. And when you hear people say drain the swamp in Washington, D.C., which is true, they don't give a damn about us. We need to drain the media swamp in New York. Get rid of them and break it up where they have competition. Because 97% of the media does not believe the way we believe. They want to tell us how we should think, how we should vote. They're elitist, and that's why I say it on the show. Hey, I'm here to tell the truth and deliver the message. That's my whole deal. And if I can do that, I had a good run. I want to thank all of our people in the armed services that support us here and around the world. And I want to thank you, gentlemen, and you, Candy, for coming in. It's been an absolute honor. I think this is probably the first show, Kyle, that we've had live musicians in here.
I think it is.
Yeah, this is a great show. And it won't be the last. That's right.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
No,
thank you guys.
Yep, thank you, and you're welcome always on The Real Deal. And then we'll do some remotes with you from wherever you're at.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, we'll get you on, and we got the listeners, and we'll tell you about talk to you about where you at, where you playing, what's coming up, that type of thing, and then tell everybody about my show. Because we are the real deal.
Amen.
Well, the people just spoke, and Donald Trump is our new president. And, we've got a little hope now, I think.
Oh, God. I'm telling you, we were right on the edge. And this kid right here, he sat down there for 10 hours when Trump come to Phoenix, him and his brother, sat there in 110-degree weather to get in, and they wiggled their way to the front.
Yep.
And Trump, I was watching it on TV, and Trump says, hey, look at those guys down there, those young guys down there. And they got pictures of him with Trump.
Down.
Did you?
It was great. I'll never forget it.
No, I wouldn't either.
No, of course not. My girlfriend's 17-year-old son went to Little Rock to hear him speak with some basketball kids or something, and he got to meet him and got his picture taken.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, we've had his foreign advisors on our show. Kyle?
Yep.
Yeah, Mina. And
past couple of weeks.
Last couple of weeks they've come on our show. They listen to our show. They like our show because we take the political correctness stuff off the table here.
And Chief, even with all the Washington people tried to stop it. Of course, the Democrats and the media.
Yep.
He still made it.
He still made it, and I tell you,
it says a lot about this country.
And I'll tell you one thing. It to me, and I'm an independent guy. I'm kind of a maniac. I mean, they probably wrote that last song after me, but I believe in God, and I really believe that we had some divine intervention.
I think so too.
I really do that, and I've been in fact, I got invited to the inauguration because of this show.
I'm not surprised.
And the Redskins loved it. They told Maggie, "Hey, that's awesome. Chief's coming to Washington." Yeah. So anyway, please support our sponsors. And You Made International. And if you want to be a sponsor on The Real Deal, contact me through info@yellowhorse.us. You can also call our number 602-540-3000. We'd appreciate any help that we can get because we want to stay going. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. Kyle, I want you to tell everybody around the world that listens to this show why the ambassador is here.
To kick ass and save names, ambassador.
You got it.
Thank you for listening to The Real Deal. Tune in to The Real Deal with the ambassador and special guest hosts every Wednesday at 5 p.m. and on demand 24/7 right here on Star Worldwide Networks.